Hi guys, I warmly welcome you all to the first day of the Imprenditor 21 workshop. This will be a wild ride full of new entrepreneurial ideas and insights into how to improve yourself as an upcoming entrepreneur. For some of y'all, this will be the first step towards this ultimate goal. So hold on tight and let's jump into how you can be a better entrepreneur who bring forth new ideas and business ideas to improve yourself as well as the country and the community as a whole. So to start this off, I'd like to invite our president, Sasindu Induraya, to give the welcome speech.
A very good evening to all of you. Our chief guests for today's evening, Professor Nalin Abesekara and Dr. Richter Pereira, our teacher in charge, Mrs. Vanshika Pires, and my dear fellow brothers and sisters. It is with immense pleasure I welcome you all to Imprenditore 2021, which is an entrepreneurial skill development workshop organized by the Entrepreneurs Club of Ananda College. I would like to first start my speech by stating the definition of entrepreneurship. Now, I know that there are numerous interpretations given to entrepreneurship by various business personalities and academics as well. But simply put, entrepreneurship means the act of starting and running your own business or a tendency to be creative and wish to work for yourself in your own ventures. Now, with that definition, it is quite clear that to become an entrepreneur, you require to start a business, or in a more fancy term, your own financial empire, right? Now, that is not something attainable with just the will to become an entrepreneur. It is true that that you need the will and the determination, but like the wise say, optimism without practicality is a fool's play. It's a delusion that never crosses the reality. So that is why we believe that it is fundamental to have the skills before you implement your master plan. So with that being said, now if we look at what kind of skills does an entrepreneur require, I personally believe that first and foremost, you need to have good communication skills. Because if you can't communicate your idea to someone properly, it will be very hard to practically implement your ideas. Communication also means both written and verbal communication. Secondly, you need to have good marketing skills to market your idea. And you also require a comprehensive understanding about present and future market trends. Because you know how the market, when you know how the market behaves, it will be very easy for you to adapt and place your product or the service, for that matter, properly in the market. So likewise, there is a certain skill set that you need to have in order to actually start up your own venture. Therefore, it is essential to maintain balance between your determination and the skill set that you require to become an entrepreneur. You cannot become an entrepreneur with just the will. Also, you cannot become an entrepreneur with just the skill set. So in order to cater to both these crucial elements, we as the Entrepreneurs Club of Ananda College organized the Incendium, which was a timely entrepreneurship discussion designed to motivate young and enthusiastic Sri Lankans, which happened in July. So, and now we are presenting to you the Imprenditor 2021, which is designed to provide you with a basic understanding about the skills you require to conquer your entrepreneurial dreams. With that, wishing you all an evening full of knowledge and enthusiasm. Now, I, as the president of Ananda College Entrepreneurs Club, would like to conclude my speech by handing over the floor to continue with the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sasindu Ayya, for welcoming all of our enticed audience to this once-in-a-lifetime experience. And beforehand, I'd like to inform that if you do have any related questions you need to ask from our respected invitees, feel free to drop them down in the chat box. It's important to know how to maintain long-lasting and ever-present relationships with customers. The connections you make with customers can be the game-changing decision of going with your product or one of your competitors' product. And as Anne Handley said, make customers the hero of your stories. So to make all of you all familiar with the concept of marketing, I'd like to invite Professor Nalin Abesekara, Professor in Management Studies, Chartered Marketer, member of Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, working as a senior lecturer for strategic marketing, serving as a visiting lecturer, a head of the Department of Marketing at the Open University of Sri Lanka, and a consultant with over 15 years of experience, and with achievements more than you can name. So, Professor Nalin Abesekara, it's your time to enlighten us with the topic of marketing for entrepreneurship.
So thank you very much, Minidu. Thanks for the association in Ananda College Entrepreneurship Association for inviting us. As clearly mentioned by Minidu, we discuss about relationship marketing. Relationship marketing, we elaborate, you should have a sustainable long-term relationship with the customer. Right? Sometimes we discuss the concept of relationship marketing as you should have win-win situation. You should have win-win situation with the customer. So we will discuss about first why marketing is important. And I think you know, according to Albert Einstein, the imagination is more important than knowledge. So you should learn, you have to read, cognitive skills are really important, but the imagination, the creativity factor. So in branding, in marketing, we discuss about the logo. The brand we define as a name or an icon or combination of all which differentiate your product from the competitor. So what we are going to observe most of the time, that there should be an association between brand name and the product. But you take Apple, there is no association between the brand name and the product. But yet, that is one of the top in the business in the world. Imagination, ignition. So try to read the autobiographies. Maybe Steve Jobs. Maybe you can read something on Zuckerberg. Then again, something on Richard Branson, Virgin. Sri Lankan business people. So try to read the Melbourne Biscuit co-owner, Inhapuhami. In 1950s, 60s, the Melbourne Biscuit, the company already started, I think way back in 1940s, by the business person coming from down south, called Inhapuhami. Why I'm asking you to read about Sri Lankan business people and the foreign entrepreneurs, you need to understand certain cultural elements. I will start with this Melbourne story. Okay, the same Inhapuhami advise the family members. He has given a simple advice. Before we are going to give biscuits for others, outsiders, the family members should taste the biscuit first. If family members feel this biscuit is good, then only you have to give this biscuit for outside customers. That is Inhapuhami. Then you know, in the subject of marketing, we have father of marketing, Professor Philip Kotler. Professor Philip Kotler, I think you can read something on Professor Phil. He celebrated his birthday, 90th birthday, 2 months back, right? So he has done one nice YouTube video, I think on his birthday, the same date, explaining about gross domestic happiness. The professor, the father of marketing, explaining not gross domestic product. So he's explaining something called GDH, gross domestic happiness. So once you get the time, please watch that YouTube video that you need to understand. So the same Professor Philip Kotler, he authored one book called 3.0 Marketing. In 3.0 Marketing, he explained, yes, we need to recognize customer. We have to identify customer. We should encourage customer. We need to delight customer, exceeding the expectation of customer. But anyway, we should respect to the humanity of the customer. We have to consider the customer as humans, the human element. But what you need to understand, Professor Kotler took 50 years to convert customer into human being. But the Hinyapuami Melbourne Biscuit co-founder, 50 years back, advised to the family members about this human element of the customer. So what you need to understand, we have to read the autobiographies and all of some entrepreneurs outside. Please read something on Melbourne Biscuit, Hinyapuami. Please read something on other entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka. You have to get the values. So this marketing 3.0 concept, Professor Philip Kotler elaborated, been well practiced in Sri Lankan culture 5 decades back. That we need to understand. There are many examples like that. So sometimes we feel like marketing is a kind of a subject where you have many concepts. But if you know Sri Lankan culture, 70% of the marketing concepts you are practicing. But in Sinhala we say, Danagiyot Kataragama, no Danagiyot Kataramaga. Because of that, consciously you have to use these concepts. So I also have written one piece on Kotler versus Hinyapuami in Daily FT. So this is 10 years back, and we have a good, kind of a relationship between some, say, with Professor Philip Kotler, as well as with some Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, because they respect to the traditions of other countries. So you also, as a buddy in entrepreneurs, because in the world, there is no any future without entrepreneurs. Universities not produce employers. Universities should produce entrepreneurs. That you need to understand. Why the entrepreneurs are important. So we discuss about in Yapuhami, we discuss about marketing. Then we need to understand why in marketing the entrepreneurship is important. So we'll start with that particular note. Right? So why in marketing the entrepreneurship is important? I think everyone, you can see the so number one of the top pioneering magazine, Forbes. So they mentioned, they highlighted 8 out of every 10 business in the world startup. So unfortunately, they close in first 18 months. So what might be the possible reasons? So by looking at this, it's very clear. The possible reasons are you misunderstanding of the customer. Just go through the second point. We'll discuss about that as well. So in the second point, it discussed a report published last year. It states that marketing is one of the top 10 factors influencing the growth of a small business. That is why it is important that we learn more about marketing. It means the success of the entrepreneurship is mainly depend on few factors where we have to give prominence for the marketing. That is very much important that you need to understand. Then we go to the next slide. So if you enterprise, a company, we have to understand how we are going to satisfy customer. But nowadays, you need to always understand the satisfaction is not enough. You should delight the customer, exceeding the expectation of the customer. Sometimes people argued to exceed the expectation of the customer, you need to spend more money. No. Again, I come to the point, you should have creativity and imagination. So that is fundamental to delight the customer, because everyone is satisfied. But you need to do something other than that. So that is really important in marketing. So what is marketing? So the meaning to discuss about something very important, again, I will tell you, the relationship marketing, having a mutually beneficial relationship with the customer. So here we are talking about, like I mentioned, the basic requirement identification. We are talking about, you need to identify needs and wants of the customer. But what you need to understand, identification of needs and wants here is important. To understand the customer needs, you need to do marketing research. Sometimes people think the marketing research is a kind of a magic. It's not a magic. Everyone, especially entrepreneurs, we can do marketing research. මම එක උදාහරණයක් කියන්නම්. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ බිස්නස් එකක් කරගෙන යනකොට පුතා බිස්නස් එක කරන්න කලින් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ රෙස්ටෝරන්ට් එකක් පටන් අරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ රෙස්ටෝරන්ට් එකේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දැන් තියෙන රෙස්ටෝරන්ට් එකේ you want to introduce a yellow rice. So no need for you to give this particular marketing survey or whatever this for the marketing research company. Just the people who come to visit the restaurant, you can raise a question. අපි මේ yellow rice එකක් හඳුන්වලා දෙන්න යනවා. ඒ yellow rice එක හඳුන්වලා දුන්නම ඒ වගේ දෙයක් ඕගොල්ලන් ගන්නකොට ඒක කැමතිද? So that also considered as part of marketing research. Or else you can just observe, go to similar restaurants in your town and see the price of the yellow rice, taste of the yellow rice. That also part of marketing research. A small vendor, I know, in the Dambulla innawa mage මිත්‍රෙක් එළවලු විකුණන්න දඹුල්ල පොළට යන්න කලින් එයා මොකද කරන්නේ? එළවලු ටික අරන් යන්න කලින් දවසක් ගිහිල්ලා එතන වෙළඳපොළ නිරීක්ෂණය කරනවා. Observation. Then he understand the prices, qualities and all. So that also comes under marketing research. Why I am telling you that is important? To understand the customer, you should do market research. So that is very much important. So that's why to be competitive, you need to understand customer. You should satisfy customer. Not only that, you have to delight the customer. That we call as exceeding the expectation of the customer. Sometimes in marketing, we are talking about wow factor. But most of the instances I have seen in marketing, there are many concepts being used. Extensively, we discuss many concepts. The marketing mix.
Sir?
Yes, Buddha.
Sir, I think there's something wrong with the slideshow, sir.
It's
still
it's
stuck on
not
the first
moving,
slide.
Buddha. It's not
Still
moving.
on the first slide, sir.
All right, just give me 1 minute.
Sure, sir.
What about now? Is that fine now?
It's fine, sir.
All right, thank you. So, Buddha, yeah. All right, that's fine. Right, okay, I will start. Now I think you can see the slide. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
All right, great, good. So we are in the slide where we need to discuss something on marketing mix. In the subject of marketing, there are many concepts. We discuss about marketing strategies and all. We discuss about segmentation, targeting and positioning. Then what is marketing mix? අපි සිම්පල්ම විදිහට කියන marketing mix එකට 4 P's කියලා. Price, place, product and promotion. If you are doing your business as entrepreneurs, you should be very concerned about your product, your brand. We discuss with Apple. Whatever the brand, there should be association. It should be attractive. And your package. That everything comes under product. So product concept is really important. If you are a small business, if you run a small business, you should be very concerned about quality of the product. Sometimes I have seen some Ayurvedic products, very good with quality, but unfortunately, there's a problem with the package. Packages should be superior. You have to test the package with the sample customers, give them, ask them about the package. That is really important. Then place. What is place in marketing? Distribution. We are in the digital era. We discuss about digital marketing and all. With the www, there is no need for physical place. Because of COVID-19, we have online delivery. So distribution is important. If you have a physical place, then you have to depend on wholesalers, retailers and all. But if you don't have that, yes, your website, Facebook page might work for you. That is place distribution. Then whatever price you do your business, you should be very concerned about pricing. Pricing is the only element in marketing mix which you can generate money. Sometimes we are talking about something called barter price, 99.90, psychological pricing strategy, right? So if you're going to decide the price, you should know the competitor prices, the cost of the product, the margin, and again, you should do price testing as well. The psychological pricing, like 2,990 sort of strategies are really important. And also promotion. Most of the time we think promotion is all about advertising. No. Promotion, there are many elements. Sales promotion is something short-term incentives for short-term performance. What is that? Gifts, raffles, competitions. වගේ වචන කිව්වම අපේ දරුවෝ ගොඩක් බලන මොනවද මේ කියන්නේ කියලා. හැබැයි ඕගොල්ලෝ කතරගමට ගිහිල්ලා ආයෙද්දී අර මුදලාලි ඕගලන්ට කළු දොදල් කෑල්ලක් කපලා දෙනවා මහත්යෝ මේක කාලා රහ බලලා හොඳ නම් ගන්න. නැත්තම් මම තරහ නැහැ. ඒක ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ සංස්කෘතිය. ශ්‍රී ලංකන් කල්චර්. මුදලාලිට අපි මේක කිව්වනම් promotion, integrated marketing communication, this is sales promotion, short-term incentives. No. That's why I always tell him, once you learn Sri Lankan culture, 70% of the marketing already done. But again, you need to understand, consciously you have to do marketing. You can't just depend on traditional marketing. I think you know better than us. Digital marketing is fundamental. Digital marketing is very important. I think the Richter Pereira also here, the next professional presenter, he discussed more on very practical aspect of marketing. Especially in digital marketing, you should know the way you are going to do YouTube marketing and all. You should know how to attract the audience. Whatever the themes you are going to put in the particular discussion is really important, even in the YouTube. So I will give you one small exercise, right? So this is important. Because you know, in digital marketing, you do your YouTube video or something where you have to be very concerned about how you attract the customer. To attract customer, you should use different strategies. The same strategies you can't do to retain customer. In marketing, we discuss about a model called IDA model. Attention, interest, desire and action. Attention එකට ගහපු campaign එක නෙමෙයි interest එකට ගහන්න ඕනේ වෙනම එකක්. Attention එකක් ගත්තා කියලා customer බාණ්ඩි ගන්න නැහැ. Interest, desire, action. ඒකට යන්න ඕනේ වෙනම strategies තියෙනවා. Different marketing communication strategies. So price, place, product, I'm talking about promotion. In that scenario, traditional media, newspapers, television and all important. Digital media, exactly now we have to more aware about that. I will give you a small exercise for 2 minutes. Now with everyone, I shared one YouTube video. Just watch that for 2 minutes, right? You take 2 minutes to watch that. You can observe the theme, how we put the theme to attract the audience, and after 2 minutes time, we can start the discussion again. Just take only 2 minutes to watch that video. So I think I already shared the video in the chat box. You can just copy paste and just run and see. So what sort of feeling you have? Then we can have a discussion. Because now we are talking about the era of digital marketing. So we discuss about this organic growth. We discuss about how we can like invest money. There is no assurance where once you attract more customers, once you watch the advertisement, all the people will buy. Traditionally advertising, all we say, it might attract you. Maybe you can do a different campaign to push customer to go and buy the product. Desire and action. To interest, you have to elaborate more on the product. So everything comes under these 4 P's, right? So I will, the same thing, I think I will share the video. I think you can see just by looking at the video. The video you can share within your friends also. Why I'm telling you about this is something not creativity, right? Make a topic එක තමයි ඔයගලන්ට පේන topic එක මොකද්ද? ඉස්සර අපි තමයි හොඳට මාකටිං කරේ. Right? So I am not going to continue with that video. I think what you can do, you can watch the video. So that video is really important for you to understand. The Sri Lankan layman, සාමාන්‍ය මිනිස්සෙකුට ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ කුඩා ව්‍යාපාර කරන මිනිස්සයාගේ ආත්ම භාෂාව, ආත්ම භාෂණය සිංහල හෝ දෙමළ. But you have a segment where the English language 75%, unfortunately they read Sinhala or Tamil. You need to understand the rhythm and pattern of the grassroots level people. I think most of you, we have Anandians and other schools. So you are products of free education. You have to read something on Dr. C.W.W. Kannangara. Because of Dr. Kannangara only, because of that free education concept only, we are here. So everyone, you need to repay whatever this you gain. That is for the general public. As entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneurs, you are doing a great service to the country. In the future, I think you will experiment, you will do a quality work with your businesses. Definitely, you need to understand, as clearly mentioned by Professor Kotler, happiness is important than satisfaction. Satisfaction we might earn, but ultimate happiness, I think one of the autobiography, one of the quote in autobiography by my Zuckerberg also he mentioned the same about happiness. So that is the basic thing. And also you need to understand, fundamentally in marketing, we discuss about this marketing mix. And also, and we need to understand proper segments in the market. There are different variables we need to understand by looking at the demographic. So, and more importantly, strategies, if you're talking about strategies, this marketing mix and what I called as STP, segmentation, targeting and positioning, all are important. But because of the limited time framework, I just want to motivate you to learn something on marketing. So if you need, I think I can put my contact number also here, because we as a group because in Open University as a head of department in Department of Marketing, so we have a volunteer service for Sri Lankan entrepreneurs. Especially we are talking about the maybe accelerators, maybe we have budding entrepreneurs. So for them, we always willing to help. Then again, I will put my email address. So that is very important for us to contact each other. So I hope you have gained something from my presentation. If you have any questions, yes, my dear entrepreneurs and future entrepreneurs, my dear students, you can raise. So whatever the questions, may be something on marketing, maybe something on entrepreneurship and marketing, because so 2-3 days back we had a same webinar with the participation of more than 400. So most of the entrepreneurs, so they have problem with market testing. Then again, they raise certain questions on branding and export marketing. What are the documents? What sort of segments? So in Sri Lanka, ogala Sri Lanka batik කර්මාන්තය කරනවා නම් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ පාවිච්චි කරන පාට නෙමෙයි ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ batik වල පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. Colors. I think I have written an article on color in the marketing world on Daily FT. You can read. Different countries, they have different colors. In Sri Lanka, the way we pursued white is different from maybe from the another religion, maybe from another country. Colors, perception means the internal representation of external world. So everything is important. We need to understand the black box of the customer. What is meant by black box? The mind of the customer. It's very difficult to read the mind of the customer, right? But we should know. Nowadays, people are talking about neuromarketing. In neuromarketing, again, I like to invite you. There is one article written on neuromarketing with a very nice caption. Neuromarketing, cocaine and sport vehicle. The same reward center in our brain activated by driving a sport vehicle, the same thing where you are going to activate by using different pills and all, right? But what you need to understand, the neuromarketing concept, eye tracking cameras and all are really important, and that can be the future, right? So you can just observe certain things, right? You have to explore certain things. ඔයගලන්ට පුළුවන් සමහර දේවල් explore කරන්න පුළුවන්, කියවන්න පුළුවන්. මම ඔයගලන් එක්ක share කරපු වීඩියෝ එකේ සමහර දේවල් කතා කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒකම උදාහරණයක් ගත්තොත් සාමාන්‍ය කෙනෙකුට අවශ්‍ය වෙන මාකටිං, අපි කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය ලේමන් කෙනෙකුට අවශ්‍ය වෙන බේසික් මාකටිං ගැන ඔයගලන්ට යම්කිසි තොරතුරක් ඕන නම් ඒ ගැනත් ඔයගලන්ට පුළුවන්. මගේ පොඩි වීඩියෝස් ටිකක් අපි කරන්න පටන් ගත්තා. ඒ කියන්නේ මූලිකම අලෙවිකරණය පිළිබඳ දැනුමක් නැති entrepreneursලට අපි පොඩි වීඩියෝස් ටිකක්, ඒ කියන්නේ ගොඩාක් කම්ප්ලෙක්ස් වීඩියෝස් නෙමෙයි, ඊටාම පොඩි වීඩියෝස් ටිකක් කරනවා. මම ඔයගලන්ට එක වීඩියෝ එකක් පොඩ්ඩක් ෂෙයා කරන්න. මෙන්න මේ වීඩියෝ එක ඔයගලන්ට බලන්න පුළුවන්. මේ වගේ වීඩියෝස් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. ඔයගලන්ට එහා සම්බන්ධව I will share that video also with you.
කොළඹින් ආව මාත්‍ය ගෙනාවා බැටරි අඩු චේතසාව වඩා පත් කරනවා. එතකොට ඉස්සෙපත් සිටින අය.
ඔන්න ඔයගේ පොඩි වීඩියෝස් ටිකක් ඕගලන්ට බලන්න පුළුවන්. ඔයගලගේ දැනුම දියුණු කරගන්න පුළුවන්. අර මම මුලින්ම ඔයගලන් එක්ක ෂෙයා කරපු වීඩියෝ එකට අමතරව. ඉතින් ඒකෙන් මෙන්නේ මොකද ඉස්සරහට අනාගතය අපි කිව්වා වගේ අත්‍යන්තයෙන්ම අනාගතය තියෙන්නේ ඔයගලගේ ව්‍යවසායික මත. So I hope you gain something from this small presentation, but hopefully you can contact me. If you have any queries, you can just raise questions now as well. If you have any questions, any language you can use. Minidu.
Yes, sir. So, sir, we have a dedicated Q&A session. So, I'd like to invite Esandu to host the Q&A session.
No problem.
Yeah,
Sure.
Esandu, over to you.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. So I directly moving to questions. We received some questions from our WhatsApp groups and direct chat in the Zoom. So, sir, in first question, in this pandemic situation, people are afraid to experience new products or brand. So, in this challenging situation, as future entrepreneurs, how can we acquire new customers and building brand loyalty on them?
Yeah, that is very important thing. So what you need to understand, the acquiring customer is different from brand loyalty, because number one, you should attract customer. Customer attraction doesn't tell you, that just doesn't say you have brand loyalty, because in marketing we discuss about two drivers, the acquisition driver and the retention driver. To attract the customer, I always think pandemic situation is the best, because this is a situation where you can do marketing research. You can survey your customers. 2 years back, there is no Zoom. We don't discuss anything on MS Team. Now you have different tools which you can use as marketers. Few years where usually you go, see, if you want to buy a shirt, you go to the shop. Now people are going for online shopping. They are buying online, even clothes. In Sri Lanka, before COVID pandemic, the cloth, especially we are talking about male and female, they want to experience that and they buy. But now it has changed. This is the best time for you to do marketing survey, marketing research. You need to understand, even though you have pandemic, in Sri Lanka, business registrations are increasing. Most of the young, you know, one good example, Dulanjana Vitanage, Javadharapur University first year. Now he already passed out, right? Dulanjana Vitanage, he started a small business. He's from Gol Tuakudahena, small business from jackfruit. Now he got Cosposure, then again different products from jackfruit, and more importantly, now he's going to start something on noodles, again from the same. So this is something where you need to understand there's a strategic window being opened in the pandemic. So don't think this is like kind of a threat for you. Try to convert it into an opportunity. I think we discuss about strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, the SWOT analysis. Try to convert the threats into an opportunity. That is a challenge. Hope I answered for that question, Isabel.
Yes, sir. So I'm moving to the next question. So, marketing is a very broad concept. We call simply it as a philosophy. So, sir, there are several segments within the marketing subjects. One of them is sales. So, sir, what is the main difference between marketing and sales? How can you explain it for us, sir?
Unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, most of the people start to think like all marketers are selling. So they are sellers. Marketing start with customer, proceed with customer, and going to end up with customer. Selling means only one factor in marketing. But in marketing, selling we considered as a lifeblood. We should have selling. But if you really talking about the marketing philosophy, there are many concepts. Product concept, production concepts, sales, societal marketing and all. But sales is only one part of marketing. But anyway, what you need to understand, in order to identify the proper marketing, you should always understand customer as number one, customer as number two, and again customer as number three. That you need to understand, that you need to identify. That is important. Yes, Buddha.
Yes. So again, moving to our next question. So, how can we utilize value addition to market our product? He asking about the value addition for products.
Yeah, value addition. Actually, I would like you to say you read something on value creation, value co-creation. So it's a very important question, Buddha, you ask, because you just type Sri Lankan coconut on Google, you can see people are climbing trees. You type Thailand coconut on Google, then you can see value-added products. In Sri Lanka, our coconut comes under top 10. But unfortunately, we don't do proper value addition. We always looking at the materials in order to do value addition. I think I have written again one article on this. Thailand coconut versus Sri Lankan coconut. You need to understand, you have to benchmark some products in different countries. Even though we have quality coconut, I'm talking about the example of coconut, we should do value addition. If you don't do value addition, then you are in trouble. I will tell again one good example. You take a small, අපි කියමු දැන් අපි මාතරින් කියන පොඩි මාළු ටිකක් අරගෙන ජෑම් බෝතලයකට දාලා විකුණනට වැඩිය රුපියල් 50ක් 100ක් වැඩිපුර විකුණන්න පුළුවන් පුතා. ඔක ලස්සනට packaging, that we called as packaging. පොඩි හට්ටියක මාළු ටිකක් දාලා, that is all about packaging with a good brand name. So value addition is always, we have to align with the innovativeness and your creativity. So very good question you ask. So please, if you have the contact number of the student, even now what we can do is to the students who ask questions. So I have my book of single marketing. අපි පොට්ටිකක් දෙමු ඒ දරුවන්ට. ආ ප්‍රශ්න ආපු දරුවන්ට. Right? So free of charge. අපි මේක කරමු පුතා. Right? We'll do that.
Thank you, sir. So this is one of my personal questions. By going through your YouTube videos and your sessions, sir. Sir, in Sri Lankan society, people think marketing from your own word and the we may share. So is it correct? What's your idea about it, sir?
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ පුතා මාකටිං ජොබ් එක කරන මිනිස්සුයෙකුට කසාදයක් බඳින්නත් අමාරුයි දැන්. හේතුව තමයි අපේ රටේ මාකටිං කියවන්නේ ඔක්කොම වෙස්ටර්න් කන්සෙප්ට්ස් එක. Western concepts you need to learn. But you know HSBC isn't they say world's local bank.
Yes.
Adaptation is a must. Try to read Inyapwami, try to read Philip Kotler, get the combination. In Buddhism we are talking about middle path. අත්තකිලමතානියෝගේ කාමසුකල්ලිකානියෝගේ දෙකම අත්හැරලා දාන සුන්දර, whatever the religion says, the same thing being uttered. So that is really important to the marketing. Unfortunately been discussed heavily, depends on some literature in Western, but you need to understand the pattern and rhythm of Sri Lankan people. Sri Lankan means Sinhala, Tamil, Muslim and all with other religions. So if you study the business people in Sri Lanka, definitely you can understand certain patterns. That is essential. You raise very good question, Buddha. The same thing, even your father also raised in school days. Right? Okay. Yes.
Thank you, sir. That's the all questions. That's it, right? Minidu, it's up to you, bro.
Yeah. Thank you, Asindu. Thank you, Professor Nalina Besekar, for explaining how marketing plays a major role in one's entrepreneurial journey and how to use it as a fine tool to up our game. Without guidance and proper directions, we will get lost in the vast sea of opportunities. We will not know how to use them, or worse yet, we will not know how to identify them. I once again thank Professor Nalina Besekar for sharing that valuable information. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Buddha, stay safe, everyone. Okay, thank you.
Just because something is on trend, it might not work for you. Victoria Justice. So, as an entrepreneur, it is crucial to understand trends, follow them if it's profitable, and avoid traps. Proper understanding will help you through this journey. It's common knowledge that trends come and go, but you must be keen on how to use them to your advantage. So, to address you all about the matter of futuristic trends of entrepreneurial innovation, I'd like to invite Dr. Richter Pereira, chartered marketer, certified coach in marketing, PR, and innovation, member of American Marketing Association, member of Sri Lankan Institute of Directors, and senior ambassador for Sri Lanka for CIM, UK.
Hi, can you hear me? Am I audible? And can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Right. And I'm trying to share a set of slides as well. Can all of you see the slide deck?
It is visible, sir.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Your
Sir?
mic is muted, sir.
Ah, okay. Let's start again. So good evening to all of you, and thank you so much for inviting me to address this forum. And it is an absolute pleasure for me to be here. And also, I was listening to Professor Nalin's presentation as well, and I learned quite a lot from that as well. And it is an absolute pleasure to be a part of this. So thank you so much for having me. I will run through some trends of entrepreneurial innovation for Sri Lanka, and especially for the current climate. And you know, though innovation is a fairly large beast and it is impossible to conquer within half an hour, I'll try my best to introduce some basic key concepts that all of you can use in your day-to-day lives. So let me just, okay, so my name is Dr. Richter Pereira, and thank you for that kind introduction, Puta. I'll just cover actually two important areas: the importance of innovation for entrepreneurship, and also I will look at some futuristic trends that you would want to apply in your future. I'd like to start off with this famous quote: innovate or die. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard this before. This was famously quoted by Peter Drucker, one of the well-known, best-known management gurus, whom I absolutely respect. And it is important to understand, even though he said this in 1980s and probably 90s, there is a very important message in this particular statement. What he meant at that time is that if you don't innovate, you're better off dead, which means that if you don't innovate your products or your services or the 4 Ps that you were discussing in the previous session, you might as well sort of die, which means that it is impossible for you to compete in this modern competitive climate if you don't really do something about the products or services. So this is the foundation of my presentation today. And let us find out what innovation is, and let us see whether we could learn something and apply that moving forward. So I'm going to show you some worldwide well-known companies, and I'm pretty sure all of you know these brands. So I'm going to show you, that's it. Okay, so can you just quickly have a look at it? And identify these brands, and of course the name is there in some of them, but there is one brand which I purposely didn't put the name, and obviously I'm sure all of you know. Now, having said this, there is something unique about all these brands. Can you just take a minute or two and just contemplate what it could be? මොකක්ද මේකේ විශේෂත්වය මේ ඔක්කොම brands වල? I'll give you a clue. They are known as the most innovative companies of 2021. Yeah, I'll just go back to the slide again. Apple, Tesla, Alphabet, as you know, Alphabet, Google is owned by Alphabet. Alphabet is a parent company. I'm sure most of you were aware of it. So these are some of the most innovative companies for 2021. Now, before that, let us just quickly look at what innovation is, and let us try and understand the meaning behind it. So innovation, by definition, is the introduction of something new. Okay, so introducing something new. So innovation is not invention. Okay, so invention is creating something new, but innovation, by definition, it could be doing a small change to something that you already have. For instance, if you have a product, if you're selling a product, if you do a small change or a minor modification to it, it becomes innovation. Let's say you have a pricing mechanism and you do a small change to the pricing philosophy. That's innovation. Let's say you distribute certain products. You distribute through a traditional on-site method, and then you move to an online method. That's innovation. And let's say you promote your products using the TV, the traditional media, TV, radio, or print media, and then you decide that you will market your products through social media. Aha, that's innovation. So innovation is doing something different, but it doesn't necessarily mean creating a new product like the telephone invented by Alexander Graham Bell, or electricity, or whatever. Yeah, so this is something that you need to understand. Without innovation, there isn't anything new. And without having anything new, there is no progress for a company, no development, no sustainability. And there is a possibility that your people, your customers, might not buy the products over and over again from you because they get sick and tired. And if an entrepreneur isn't making any progress, it simply means that they cannot compete in the market. It is a competitive world. There are so many products and services coming up on a day-to-day basis, and there are loads of new entrants coming up, and COVID-19 is creating or playing havoc and trying to bring a lot of challenges to the business world. Now, who is an entrepreneur? Now, I'm not going to go into that. I'm sure you covered that before, but there's something that you need to understand, that entrepreneurship and innovation would always go hand in hand. So for you to be a successful innovator, you need to have some entrepreneurial skills, and for you to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to innovate. So there is a co-relationship between entrepreneurship and innovation. And if entrepreneurship refers to the process of developing new business ventures, as you know, that taking a risk, adding value, they're all definitions of entrepreneurship. And innovation is an important prerequisite of gaining competitive advantage and building a strong and sustainable business. Modern thriving enterprise demand a constant level of innovation because, as I said before, buyer behavior is changing. People are different. People have different needs and wants. And marketers have to anticipate, entrepreneurs have to anticipate what is going to change in the future because it's a dynamic environment. And also, competitiveness is becoming a major force. And also, pandemics will not gonna go away in the future. So why is innovation important? Innovation brings out certain criteria or aspects in your life as an entrepreneur. It encourages creative development. Qualities of innovative nature are essential for new businesses today, so that it sort of encourages, compels all of us to be creative. So if you're creative, this is where we can sort of use creativity to build innovation. And you need to learn this business skill to make, value to your customers. It's all about creating value, right? If you buy a product or service, and if that product or service is not giving you any value, then the chances are that you might go and buy something else, that you might try out a different competitor. And also, you got to remember, when you have creativity, you will find that it opens up all kinds of opportunities for you, especially all young people. And, back in the day, I used this at all my classes. And, I grew up in an era, 1980s, 70s and 80s, where we didn't have mobile phones. I saw a mobile phone for the very first time when I was 20 years old or 19 years old. And guess what? We didn't have computers to play with either. But now things have changed, and there is a lot of potential opportunity for everyone, entrepreneurs, in order to sort of experiment with their creative ability. And that makes it a great opportunity, compelling reason for you to be successful. Continuous improvement. Innovation gives everybody sustainability when you are making continual improvements, such as branding or packaging or exploring the 4 Ps or distribution or whatever. Entrepreneurs must identify the need to innovate and grow business skills that increases creativity. Through creativity, you have continuous development. And also, another vital point in innovation is reinforcing your brand. It's all about taking that brand to the market, right? When you are an entrepreneur, you will probably work with an organization, or you will create an organization, or you will create a brand that will have a good interaction with your customer. So if you can innovate, and if you can create that excitement to your customers, I am sure they will purchase more and more from you. So branding is a vital component for entrepreneurship, and innovation allows to think that, that allows you to think outside the box, try to have a paradigm shift, they call it, and achieve your competitive advantage. And it is also recognized as one of the main drivers for success. It gives you organization sustainability too. What about efficiency? Now we talk about taking the product from the company or your organization to the manufacturer to the customer. So what about the efficiency? We need to look at some of the efficient methods of using innovation. You also need to focus on your existing business procedures and focus on efficiency. It is not only increasing your profit, but then you can cut down on your costs too. Now, recently I was reading an article about how organizations measure the top line and bottom line, the revenue and profit, and also how sort of compelling it is to reduce cost. Because at the end of the day, when things are not going that well, it is important to also reduce your costs and try and sort of make more money than you did ever before. You will also like to attract better staff. You can recruit more people, more quality, more youth, give them loads of money, salary and incentives and all that, and then get them to sort of innovate more and more. And competition is also a massive criteria in innovation. Innovation can help you to see what exists now in opportunities, so that what opportunities will be created in the future. I love this saying, which says that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Yeah. So there's no point predicting the future if you can't create something. If you cannot create sort of a platform to sort of understand what would emerge in the future. So it is always important to use innovation to see what is the new technology that will come in the future. Businesses not only respond to the current needs of their customers, that they predict the future trends and preparing ideas, products or services that can meet future demand. Now, how many of you have taken a few minutes off to see what are the trends that are happening so that you could make some products or services, or you could do something different so that you can deal with the market in the future, or that opportunity in the future, and adding value to your products and services to stay ahead is also important. Because guess what? I keep saying this over and over again. If you don't add value to your products and services or to yourself, guess what? You won't be stay in the market for long. Because guess what? Somebody else will come just behind you and push you out. Okay. And also it allows you to have a unique selling proposition. Consumers will see innovation as something which adds value to products or the company. So it is important to understand the customer behavior that changes, and also getting positive exposure to using media, share of voice, PR, and all that is also important. Now that's that. Now let's look at few types of innovation that you can use in your entrepreneurial journey. Okay, now there are so many types of innovation. I'm not going to run through all that. I will run through just 3 types of innovation that you can use: product, process, business model. There are so many. There is paradigm, position. I mean, there are the 4 P's of innovation. There are loads, but let us just focus on some simple, easy to use, easy to apply, innovative methods. So product innovation, process, and business model. Okay, so product innovation is fairly straightforward. You see this image on your screen, Amazon Kindle. That's product innovation. Yeah. So we had books and books, traditional hardback, hard copy books, which we love to read. But guess what? You don't need any books to read anymore, because you have e-readers. And also, actually, e-readers are also going out of the market now, because you can use certain platforms, online platforms on your computer, on your desktop, laptop, your tablet, or your mobile phone. Okay, so this is the most commonly used, easily understood form of innovation. Either a completely new product like Bitcoin, or a feature in an existing product. Let's say introducing a special feature to a camera phone, or sort of upgrading the processor of your mobile device. Enhancement of an existing product using a high resolution of camera. So these are 3 ways that you could use change the product. Now, product innovation is most often a result of new technology or new insights. Now, I'll give you some examples of well-known product innovations, and let's see whether we could take some insight and sort of create some value for our customers using these examples. Apple is a great example of product innovation. They ever since producing the iPhone in 1990s, they kept on developing the product. And I think now it's iPhone 12, 13, 15, whatever that will come in the future. But there have been slight incremental changes that they incorporated in their products. And guess what? People were flocking in numbers. Holy me. Now, if you go to some of the European countries, they sort of go and camp out the previous night just to get the first copy of the first model of the Apple iPhone or the Mac. So this is a great example of product innovation. And also, forget Apple, even Samsung, even Huawei, they're classic examples. Smartphone industry is a classic example of product innovation. Then the light bulb, if you take the traditional light bulb to the LCD, to the LED, and then, that's also another example. GPSs, there were traditional GPSs back in the day, but now there is no car that is made without a GPA anymore, product innovation. And then lawnmowers. Traditionally, lawnmowers were like manual stuff. You had to like push them all day so that by the time you finish cutting the grass, you're dead tired. But now you have electric lawnmowers. That makes your life so easy, you know? So these are some examples of product innovation, okay? So what can you do in order for you to sort of change or improve the product that you already sell? Now, for that, what you have to do a little exercise. Now, I want you to, after we finish the session today, do something for me. Take a piece of paper, A4 sheet, pen and paper, and then write down some of the products that you think can add value to people's lives. Okay, any product. It could be in education, pharma, manufacturing. You don't need to spend so much money investing. You know, don't think of capital related products, capital intensive products. You can think of labor intensive products. You can think of products that you can sort of sort of invent or innovate using a simple idea. And then try and write that down and try and see whether you could work out how you can put this you develop this new product and put it into market, and to see whether it will add some value, whether it will do something better than it already does right now. Simple as that. And then guess what? If your customer sees an advantage there, they will always buy that product. Trust me, customers do buy benefits rather than features. So it is always good to do it. So product innovation. Number 2 is process innovation. Process innovation is simply changing the way it is delivered from the manufacturer to the company, or the organization to the customer or the consumer. Okay, so how a product or service is produced or delivered to the client, the way it is produced or the way it is delivered, if you do something different to the existing process, it's called process innovation. The simplest process innovation that I can think of is the manufacturing lines, where if you look at Ford, when they started selling cars or making cars in 1920s, they sort of had very sort of long-winded processes of making the product and then putting it into assembly lines and just selling it off. But then over a period of time, they realized that there are easier ways of subcontracting some of the components, getting them down and still assembling them in a car factory. So that's process innovation. Another example is how Dell computers, if all of you are familiar with Dell, Dell is the first company, computer company, to allow customization of specifications. So you go online, and then you can choose the processor, the hard disk, the RAM, and the display. And then you can change it. That happened in, I think, early 1990s. And that is also process innovation. And then, of course, there are so many other examples like banks, how they use certain chatbots to communicate with the customers. So the greatest example of process innovation is how Henry Ford made the change in making cars, Ford cars. And now most of the car manufacturers in Europe and the US use it. And there are loads of examples to talk about. And also using chatbots, using robots in order to diagnose certain medical conditions. Now I understand there are certain countries that are trialing out certain robots to even diagnose certain cancers. And this is phenomenal. I mean, unbelievable. And this is what innovation is doing for you. So we looked at two innovations. One is product, one is process. And the third one we look at is the business model. Business model is you look at the entire business model of how the company deals with from making the product in and selling it or delivering it to your customer. And then you look at some of the elements of this process and they innovate all or some of it. You don't need to innovate the whole business model. You can innovate some components of it, and then that's how it will be done. Now, the greatest example of this is Amazon, how they created a business of sort of not even having warehouses at the time, getting customer products or selling customer products through certain manufacturers and being the middleman. Yeah, so they sort of invented a brand new supply chain retail distribution route by sort of making a simple innovation of sort of getting the manufacturer to produce the goods, and then getting the manufacturer to deliver the goods directly to the consumer, and then making a commission in between. Now, this is a phenomenal business model. After that, there was eBay, then Alibaba came. Then if you look at Sri Lanka, it's a phenomenal growth. You have so many companies in Sri Lanka that are practicing the Amazon model. Okay, that's absolutely opportunity, a lucrative opportunity for all of you. Okay, now I'll give you some real good examples of business model innovation. Rolls-Royce, as you know, they make cars, and also they make jet engines. Yeah. Now, back in the day, Rolls-Royce, as you know, jet engines are very expensive. They run into millions of dollars. Okay. So back in the day, Rolls-Royce makes these engines, and they sell it to aircraft manufacturers, mainly Boeing and Airbus. And then guess what? Last few years, they realized that there is a good business model innovation opportunity of renting these jet engines and maintaining them, and then get the aircraft manufacturer to pay by the hour. Okay, so let's say I sell 10 engines to Boeing for 5 aircrafts, and then they run it for 100 hours a week, and then we get paid 100 hours a week for using those engines. And guess what? If the engine breaks down, no problem, we'll go and fix it. It is not the customer's issue. It is our problem, because we own the engine, the manufacturer owns the engine, and they only allow the customer to use it and pay by the hour. Business model innovation. Another example, Xerox paper copy. Xerox is a company, they're still around, photocopy company. They're quite famous, US company. And, before they had competition from HP, Canon, Toshiba, they went into a new business model. They said, look, okay, you don't need to buy the printer. We will give you a printer, and we will give you consumables for it, the toner, the cartridge, whatever. And guess what? We will support it if it breaks down, and you use it and you pay per copy. So if you have 100 printouts a week, you pay 2 or 3 or 4 rupees per printout. You only pay for your usage. Excellent example of business model. Dell Computers, another business model. They changed, I discussed the process innovation before, they changed the way that customers buy laptops and desktops at the time, because they said, look, you know what? You are the customer, and you have a right to choose what you want to buy. And then at the time, IBM, Compaq, HP were selling what they had. Dell said, not to worry. Yes, this is what we have, but we'll customize it for you. And the whole industry copied it. Nespresso coffee pods. This is another great example. All of you love coffee, right? I can use a coffee right now. And Nespresso coffee pods, the pod is given free of charge to the customer. Customer just buys the coffee capsule and use it, and that's it. And then every week they get loads and loads of whatever capsules that you need based on your usage. So that's business model. Now, so we looked at 3 innovations: product, process, business model. Remember that, product, process, business model. Now I'm going to tell you, introduce you to another concept called the degree of innovation, the amount of innovation you can apply to your product or your service. And there are 3 types we can look at: radical, incremental, or disruptive. Okay, so radical innovation, incremental innovation, and disruptive innovation. I'm sure most of you have heard of these concepts, but we'll look at them very quickly. So radical innovation is an invention that destroys or supplants an existing business model. Okay, so let's say you have a product, you do a radical change සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම වෙනස් කරනවා the way that you sort of sell that product, or how the product works, or how it is marketed. Radical. Okay. Now, the complete opposite of radical is incremental. Incremental කියන්නේ ticker, step by step. Incrementally, you innovate. You bring in changes gradually, but radical is complete overhaul. Okay, I'll give you some examples. So radical innovation blows up the existing system or process and replaces it with the entire new one. So radical innovation is the greatest example is the iPhone. Not iPhone 10 or iPhone 11 or 12, whatever, yeah? iPhone. Because there were mobile phones before. Motorola made phones, Nokia made phones, Microsoft made phones. But Apple iPhone was phenomenal. It's different. Radical innovation. Okay. Now, it's not an invention, it's an innovation. Incremental, on the other hand, is small improvements to the existing product or service. It's very easy to understand. And guess what? Radical innovation is a bit risky. Incremental is fairly safe way to innovate. So incremental innovation helps you to diversify your product portfolio, whatever products and services you sell, helps you to retain your customers, because you're doing a small modification and customers will stay with you. They'll keep buying the new product, and then company also will have better growth, sustainability, and will last longer. Now, there are loads of examples for incremental innovation. Now, if you take iPhone and move to iPhone 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, incremental changes. And guess what? People just kept buying the new model. They didn't go and buy Samsung. They didn't buy Nokia. They remained with Apple. Gillette often used this. They if you look at these razors, I mean, I can't even imagine the razor that I used 27, 30 years ago and the razors that are available now, because they're so smooth. The light bulb industry, even insulin pumps for diabetes, is something that had incremental innovation rather than taking the injection. And another very interesting concept is disruptive innovation, popularized by Clayton Christensen, and where they looked at how companies can transform expensive or highly sophisticated products or services, and you disrupt them, kick them out, and you come out with a new product. Now, there are so many examples of disruptors in the world and in Sri Lanka. And generally what happens is disruptive innovation comes externally from the to the organization. Now, radical innovation, now there's a bit of an overlap between radical and disruptive innovation. Radical generally happens within the company, and disruptive can happen outside the organization so that they can disrupt you. Now, there are some great examples of disruptive innovation. The compact discs is a great example. And when Amazon and Netflix launched their subscriber-based video sharing streaming site, that is considered as one of the greatest disruptors of all times. So Netflix and Amazon Prime. Okay. Now, very quickly, let's look at some of the trends that are happening in the world today. Okay. So can you name some of these? There is chatbots taking the world by storm, artificial intelligence, once again, something that is very, very difficult, complex to understand, but if you take it bit by bit, yes, you can. Then video 360, which relates to augmented reality and virtual reality. And then voice search is also taking the world by storm. There are three things that I believe will change the world or add a lot of value to your customers if you implement them. One is cloud. Back in the day, if you remember, all IT was based on on-premise. On-premise can you have file servers, you have mail servers, data servers, big computers, mainframes installed somewhere. But as you know, now the world is moving towards the cloud technology. You don't have any computers anymore. You don't have storage. Everything is right there. Now, cloud has been around for 10, 15, 20 years. But I think the way we access cloud technologies is changing. Now, there are concepts like software as a service, platform as a service, and even infrastructure as a service, where you only pay for your usage. You have public clouds, private clouds, you name it. There are some companies, companies like Rackspace, Google, then Amazon, Apple, they all have cloud offerings where you just can host your data and you just pay by the hour. You don't need to have millions dumped in a data center. Now, the second thing that I see that is happening is big data. Big data and data is everything. Data drives information, intelligence, and insight. I mean, it's what you know about your customer that will help you to determine which product or service you're going to sell. Now, for instance, if you look at Facebook, now Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, any social media uses artificial intelligence, big data, because they can predict the behavior of the customer. And even Professor Nalin mentioned about neuromarketing. Fantastic concept, again, based on artificial intelligence, big data. And my biggest sort of concern is how it is going to link with emotional intelligence in the future, because at the end of the day, we are all talking about artificial intelligence, but then emotional intelligence is also creating a massive impact. So big data, Internet of Things, connectivity of all the devices, your TV, your fridge, your smartphone, your air conditioner, everything is going to be connected. And I think we need to look at some entrepreneurial opportunities in big data. Finally, experience, customer experience, employee experience. Whatever you do, whatever you sell, it has to be experienced, submerged experiences of your customer or your employee. Otherwise, it is not going to be sold as a value addition. So it is very important to understand that the critical element is a human-centered design. Whatever you do, it has to be centered on the human being, and that is your customer or your employee. Yeah, so that is the key in any innovative trend that happens for entrepreneurship. So I looked at product, process, and business model innovation. Then I looked at radical, incremental, and disruptive innovation. And I also looked at cloud, big data, and customer and employee experience. Okay. Now, there's something that I like to end this note on, is what Henry Ford said in 1921, 22 or something. He said, if you always do what you have always done, you will always get what you have always got. Okay. So what it means now remember, innovate or die, that quote when I started the presentation. Now I'm going to tell you, innovation is something that you've got to understand, that it has to be something different than what people have right now. Because if you give the same thing that somebody else, if you try to copy somebody else, you're not going to go anywhere. So try and not copy, try and not imitate, try and have your own identity and give that personality to the product or service or the brand that you're selling. Maybe you are the brand, and then try and focus through that. So I think, that's it, what I wanted to share. I know innovation is a huge area. It is very difficult to capture in 30 minutes, but I thought that I captured the product, process, business model innovation, and radical, incremental, and disruptive innovation, and then some other trends, which is big data, cloud, and customer experience. So once again, I thank all of you for giving me the opportunity. I think there is a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, to make a lot of money in this world, and also not only making money, to create a difference to people. Creating a difference is the most important thing. Try and help somebody else, add value to your customers, add value to people, and I think through that you also can make a lot of money. and also have a lot of satisfaction, happiness, fulfillment within you. So thank you so much. And I wish you all the very best. And I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Richter Pereira, for clarifying our doubts and enlightening us with the knowledge on the matter. So now again, I'd like to invite Esandu Disanayaka to host the Q&A session for the questions directed to Dr. Richter Pereira. Esandu, over to you.
Thank you, Minindu. Good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone. Sir, we received some questions from our WhatsApp group and the Zoom chat. So I'm moving to the first question. Sir, in these days, digital innovation is the most demanded concept. So, how we can use digital innovation for our startups as entrepreneurs, sir?
Right. Okay, that's a good question. I absolutely love it. And also it's a very valid question. Digital disruption has embraced us. There's no way to avoid it. Okay, there is no way to run away from it. So that's number one to remember. Yeah. So what we have to do, we have to equip ourselves with all the tools and techniques in the digital world for us to be successful. Okay. Now, how do you innovate using digitally? And also, okay, before I come to that, digital technology is becoming cheaper on a on a daily basis. It is no more expensive, even though data in Sri Lanka is fairly priced at a high level. As you know, data around the world is becoming very cheap by the day. So it is very important to use digital technologies for innovation. And how do you do that? I think, first of all, you need to identify what your customer is using. I think you have to have an outside-in approach than an inside-out approach. Now, outside-in kiyanne, we first look at the devices or the technologies that your customer is using. ඊට පස්සේ we build our resources based on what the customer is using and give them what they want through the digital disruption or the technologies. The other approach is you can also look at the digital capability, competence that you have within the company, within yourself as a startup. Now, all of you are experts on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Now, all of you, I mean, come on, I still struggle to understand social media, but all of you are experts in it. So maybe develop a value proposition to your customer using these four medias and embrace that and hit them with value. And then that is the digital disruption that you're going to use. So either use outside-in approach, customer gen ahala api e de dena, ehma naththam use an inside-out approach, look at your capability and do it. I don't know which method is best for you. You decide that. You have two alternatives. Okay.
Yes, sir, thank you. And the next question, sir. Innovation always require a considerable investment. Sometimes some innovations fail. So how can we make the balance between risk of innovation and its return successfully?
Right, absolutely right. 90% of innovations fail. Only 10% succeed. Okay. And if you look at the NPD process, new product development process, if you look at idea generation, if you identify 10 ideas, and when it goes to commercialization, antima step ekata yanakota product එක එළියට දානකොට only one idea remains. Yeah, that is very true. Yes, and it costs a lot of money. Innovation costs a hell of a lot of money. That is also a fact. So how do you balance it? Yes, you need to do a lot of research to see whether the idea is marketable. So you come out with 10 ideas. Now, all of you, I told you, get a piece of paper, write down some ideas to see whether you could sell them, market them, and add value. Eking 10ක් આવොත් shortlist it to 5. Then you do a research to see if you develop this product, whether it can be sold and made money. So you have to look at competitor research, your customer research. You need to look at opportunities. You need to do certain audits. And then based on that, you decide how much money it's going to cost. Yes, you're right. some innovations will cost loads of money, and I think this is not the time to spend a lot of money, because money is hard to come by. So try and rework your suggestion or idea and see, guess what? Will my customer buy this? Will I ever use it if it is given to me? And then how much does it cost? Do you think it is worthwhile putting the money? And then based on that, make the decision. So once again, I can't tell you whether it is the right thing to put the money. Do research, do customer insights, and then make that decision. Number two, there are millions of things you can do without spending so much money. Guess what? When I started out 10, 12 years ago, well, I only had a room in my house. Yes, now I have an office at the WTC. I started here. This is the place I started 12 years ago when I left the corporate world. Okay, and guess what? I'm still here, but I generate more money than I did 12 years ago. So you don't need money. You don't need investment. I mean, you do for some industries, but try and identify industries that you don't need to spend money. And then when you think of money, investing money in innovation, think of products and services adding value without spending too much money. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, sir. So, sure, then the next question, sir. Should we change our business module even it's going smoothly with the expectation of multiplying profits?
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Should we? Can you ask again,
Should we
please?
change our business module even it's going smoothly with the expectation of multiplying profits? So it means to multiply the profits. Do we even the business goes smoothly? Do we need to like innovate?
Of course, yes.
Maximize profit.
Yes. My answer is yes. In order, see, you innovate to make money. I am not going to tell any of you and lie to you saying innovate just to add value to customers. You have to make money, right? All of you, you need money, investment, and you have certain ambitions in the future, right? Number one. Number two, you have to add value to your customers, otherwise they won't buy your product. They will go and buy somebody else's product. Yes, you innovate to increase your profit. Number one. Number two, add value. Number three, to hit your competitor very hard. Okay.
Yes, sir. So the last question, sir. They are requesting from you, sir, can you give some tips to find an innovation idea which will definitely work out?
Yes, I mean, start with COVID-19, start with the pandemic. Okay. Now, guess what? You and I were not doing any, as Professor Nalin very correctly said, Zoom, Teams, Blue Jeans we didn't even know about them until last year. Okay. Now, where are we now? Look how successful your event today is. You have done a marvelous job and it is working very well. And guess what? 2 years ago, you and I didn't even think of doing this. So start with the situation right now. Start looking at the dynamics of the business environment. Okay, number one. Number two, do an assessment. Look at your capabilities. Now, some of you are brilliant in maths, in accounts and finance. Some of you are brilliant in marketing and understanding customer behavior. Some of you are good at manufacturing processes. We all have certain traits in us where we can do well than somebody else. So identify your strengths and then come out with a product or service that will give you a good return on investment. So start with that. ඒකෙන් පටන් ගන්න. ඉස්සර ලියන්න මොනවාද මාකට් එකට ඕන. ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ දැන් if you look at the education industry, manufacturing, retail, pharma, they're doing so well. Even look at mobile applications. තාම අපි අවුරුදු 20ක් mobile application පිටරට තිබුණා. Still there is a big opportunity. Yeah, look at IT trends, look at 5G that is coming, artificial intelligence, IoT. This is where all of you will add a lot of value to Sri Lanka, because we need young people like you, so that we can have a very competitive sort of industry or industries in the future, where all our citizens will have a lot of value driven products, services, and whatever that they want to buy. So I'm happy to help out anybody who needs advice, but that should come from you. Now you're the one who is going to make that decision what product or service you're going to sell, but we can guide you. We can guide you and say these are and come out with a business plan. Come out with a one-page business plan if you have, if you're thinking of starting up in the next 3 months. But one thing, this is the right time. This is the best time, and make use of this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, Minidu is up to you.
Yeah, thank you, Azindu. And thank you, Dr. Richter Pereira, again for your guidance, which will help pave the path for entrepreneurship for almost all of us here. So thank you again.
All right, then. Thank you. I'm out. All the best to all of you. Take care.
Thank you, sir. That was it for today, folks. The workshop will continue tomorrow. So join us on the second day of Imprenditor 21 to learn more interesting facts and crucial pieces of advice on entrepreneurship. So to end the first day of Imprenditor 21, I'd like to invite Project Secretary Eranga Amaratunga to give out the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Minidu, for giving me this opportunity. Good evening, Professor Nalina Besekara, Dr. Richter Pereira, Teaching in Charge, Mrs. Vanshika Perez, Board of Officials, for years 2020-2021, my dear committee members and aspiring entrepreneurs. I, Eranga Amaratunga, the Project Secretary for Imprenditor 21, would like to express my sincere gratitude for the below individuals who contributed immensely for this productive discussion. Professor Nalina Besekara, thank you for joining us and sharing your valuable insights regarding the marketing field with much sophisticated advices, sir. Dear sir, because of you, from today onwards, many youngsters will take your valuable ideas and prepare themselves as future entrepreneurs who can succeed in their lives. Dr. Richter Pereira, thank you for sacrificing your valuable time, sir, and being with us on this special discussion while making this is a productive discussion. Thank you, sir, for inspiring our aspiring entrepreneurs with futuristic trends on entrepreneurial innovations, and that made our participants to realize how innovations are significant in entrepreneurship. Teaching is one profession that creates all other professions. Our dear teaching in charge, Mrs. Vanshika Perez, thank you so much for advising with all your advisors and showing us the correct path, madam. Next, I would like to thank our Board of Officials, all the IRs who advised us and for having long our Zoom meetings and guiding us while rectifying our mistakes. Thank you so much, IA. Last but not least, my dear committee members who came a long journey with me and Asindu Disanayaka, who is the chairperson of this productive discussion. Also, importantly, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to request you all to join with us tomorrow as well in order to witness this productive discussion. An end is only a beginning. Once again, thank you to each and every person who helped us, at least with a single word. Thank you. I'm Eranga Amaratunga. Minidu, over to you.
Thank you, Eranga. So that is the end of the first day, and you guys are free to exit the meeting now.